YOLO composing gloves here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the sus5 chord. You've probably been playing 1-5 chords, like let's play C minor, and then we go on up to a 5-7, which pulls back to the 1. That's kind of like your standard chord progression. This is what you do. But sometimes you want to do something else, something cooler, something that breaks the mold of this 1-5-1 kind of deal. You want to be more interesting than that. This is one of my favorite things to hear in music in general. I really love it when this is used because it almost always sounds awesome. It's pretty hard to make this sound not awesome. What we're going to do is we're going to play a 1 chord. We're going to play a sus 5-7, specifically a sus 4. We're going to resolve it, and then we're going to go back to the 1. This just sounds so good. It's so nice. So what exactly is going on here? Why does it do this? Well, we're actually using a specific type of chord. We're using what's called a predominant chord. So normally, right, our goal is to get back to the 1 chord. And one of the strongest relationships we have, well, it is the strongest, is to go 5-1. That's just like the thing we have. It's the best relationship. So we have 1-5-1. And so when we put a chord before the dominant, it's called a predominant chord, just because we're working our way to the dominant chord. So if we play a C major, let's real quick talk about, or C minor. What am I? I'm writing C minor while I say C major. Let's go over some theory real quick, because I know some of you guys aren't the strongest with the theory because you're, working in Midi instead of sheet music. And sheet music, I think, is better for this. But what we have here is we have a C minor chord. And let's say that the third got in trouble. So we're going to suspend it. It's got suspension going on. So we're going to shove it up to the 4th. And we say, third, you've been suspended. And we get this sound. That is the track. We get this sound. Let's see. And let's say, okay, well, instead of suspending it to the 4th, because normally it's that. So we notice here that the 4th wants to go down to the 3rd. So that's the tendency tone. It tends to want to resolve to the 3rd. Now we could resolve it. We could suspend it, that is to say, not resolve. We could suspend it down to the 2nd instead. So instead of going up to the 4th, we go down to the 2nd. And we get that sound. And that wants to resolve up. So if I were to play, here's a sus 4 resolving to the 3rd, and here's a sus 2 resolving to the 3rd. Let's have this re-trigger with it. Boop, bop, boop. So sus 4 to just a minor triad, sus 2 to a minor triad. So those are sus chords. Some people consider them part of the major qualities. It depends like how much pop and jazz you play. I have professors who some would say, no, sus chords aren't a major quality. So when I say a quality, I mean like major, minor, augmented, diminished. And some people add in suspended chords. I keep wanting to say sustained. If I say sustained, I'm sorry. I know it's suspended because we're putting them in timeout basically. Now, if you leave the 3rd there, you get that. It's like a crunchy chord. Those are called add chords because you're adding notes. So it kind of makes sense. So those are sus chords. Now what we want to do is we want to use this to our musical advantage. And we know that we normally play a 1 chord, then we play a 5-7 because the 5-7 will always pull back to the 1. So we're going to write a 5 chord in. So we'll put G, B, D. And that's going to be a G major chord. And we want major, not minor, because we need a leading tone. Recall that if you write a B flat in there, or an FL Studios, an A sharp, you are going to be technically writing in a mode because you need a leading tone to define your key. We need that do this thing. We need that. So that's what's going on there, because if we have this, it's not as strong. We're missing it now. So we've got this, and now we add on the 7. So now we pull back to the 1. So we would have something like this. We've got terrible voicings, but you get the idea. Now, what we're gonna do is instead of doing this in the middle, you know, that's not as exciting. So we're gonna put a chord before it, like we said. Technically, I guess it's kind of the same chord. We're going to suspend the third. So we're gonna take the third, we're gonna do a sus4. I really like sus4, it's my favorite. So we're gonna push the 4 up, and we're gonna pull these guys over because I want to re-hit the note. I think it's kind of a little more clear. Then we're going to resolve down to the third. So now we're resolving to the chord that is like the cause of the tension to get back to the 1. So it's kind of like a really powerful thing. So if we play it. Now we could improve this with like better voicings. Like, you know, let's just move the C up here. Now look at this. We go down a half step and up a half step. So we're doing like neighbor tone stuff here. And it's really nice because it's a neighbor tone on the friggin' leading tone. And not only does it work on the leading tone, but the leading tone is the resolution point. It's like amazing. Like you can't ask for nicer things right there. That's just so nice. It's like everything your ear wants and more if we play this. It's, yeah, voicing is like a whole deal there. But anyways, that's really cool. So what we'll do now is if we pull these out, it's a little more sophisticated because now only the third's moving. You know, that's nice too. So, okay, so that's kind of like why it works is we've got a whole bunch of things really going for us as far as pushing back to the tonic. And it just makes it more interesting. It's kind of like a story. Like 151 is kind of like, you know, you went to 7-Eleven and you bought a soda and you had to go home and you went home. But when you add in this sus chord, it's kind of like you went to 7-Eleven, you bought a soda and confronted a gunman, but you defeated him, and then you went home. It's like just more epic in general. It's just way cooler. Like if it's level 1 cool, this is like level 3 cool. Like if you play Enter the Gungeon, you'd have no refresh time on your stuff anymore. It'd just go away. So okay, that is what the sus chord's doing here. A really famous example that does this is Moonlight Sonata, right? So if I go ahead and start playing Moonlight Sonata, my keyboard's really small, so I can't like play the full thing, but we have this. We go up, and then I'm gonna skip a chord. We go to our sus chord. Resolve. And then he just keeps going. It's like that song was the first song where I looked at that and I was like, this is friggin' awesome. And I wanted to know what was happening. I didn't know enough at the time to really analyze music, so I couldn't figure it out. But now I know. I'm like, it's a frickin' sus5 chord. And it's just really nice in that way. There's a lot of songs that use this, and I always love it when it's used. And some people use it in sort of like a more like subtle way. And then when they use it in like a big kind of way, it's like can make something sound so epic. So what I have here, I'm not going for the epic one in this case, but I have here a small track that uses this idea here. I use it as sort of a transitional element. So we clearly build some tension, rise, and then, you know, there's like nothing here because it's silent. So we're going to fall off a cliff basically. And then we jump into like a B section, or I guess the A section, and this is the intro. So let me go ahead and play it for you. You can see my chord progression up here at the top. So here we go. I actually kind of like where this is going. I sort of just put it together just to show you a use of it, but it's turning out pretty okay. So what we have here is, let me show you like, okay, so where's the 5/7 sus thing? You know, where's that thing, man? It's right here. So first in our heart, we have this going on. We'll solo it. you know, we play through our progression. So we have like C minor, and then we go to the 6. Since we're in minor, it's going to be A flat. Go to the 4. And then I do like a pedal thing right there, which is kind of nice. And there's the sus resolved. So that's what we're sort of building up here. And this is what allows me to make a phrase that sounds like we're going somewhere, and then I don't resolve it yet. I'm like, haha, no siree. I'm going to let you just fall off the cliff. You thought there was going to be a 1 chord. You thought that, and there's nothing. There's not even another chord. It's just nothing. And then, you know, I give you like a taste of some harmony right here. You're like, oh, something, there's something here. And then we jump to the 1 chord finally. So if I play it from like back here. So that is pretty much that moment right there. There's not a whole lot to it. I do add in some things that sort of give emphasis to this. And I have a chord progression that's been set up in sort of a nice way. So I'd like to point out that, again, I have this coming back here. I've got this C going down to a B. And then the chord eventually over here comes back up to a C. So I have that neighbor tone deal and the leading tone resolving to the tonic. Which, if you ever play a leading tone, I should be careful how I word this. In most cases where you play a leading tone, you're going to resolve to the tonic. And if you don't, the listener's going to sound cheated. And cheated in not a good way. Sometimes being cheated can be good. The other thing I have going that's, I think, pretty cool is since I've chosen C minor, A flat major, and F minor, they all have C as a element. So I did some pedal point and kept the C here, and C is the precise note that we are going to be suspending on for the G7 chord. So there's like a number of things that happen here that just they just connect them really well. It's just one smooth thing. So these things go up and down and follow the suspension to give emphasis to it. I've sort of got these ambient guitar drones here if I solo them. So there's like... And then I'm moving around in the chord there. I'm mostly trying to create overlap so that these samples don't sound like they're just randomly dropping out. And I've got a second one here that is its sole job is to outline that suspension. It's an octave higher. Eventually. And since these are ambient, and you notice all that ring time, that's what sort of fills up this space here. Gives it that sort of effect, like sort of a waterfall kind of deal. From there, I also have some choirs, choirs sort of a little bit more melodic, not too crazy, mostly long notes. This one follows the suspension. The other one does not. It sort of does this jump thing. Yeah, this one follows the suspension. Then I added in a second harp to lay with our first harp. This is like, here's the chord progression. Take it. I'm like not trying to hide it. Like I'm going to just play it straight up for you because I wrote this specifically to show this thing. And then if you're interested in the sounds, I know someone out there probably is. I have a harp from Heaviosity, Aeon, and then also from Heaviosity, that's where the ambient guitars are coming from. The choir is Libera's. I'm sorry, I'm probably saying this wrong. But by 8Dio, an freaking awesome choir. I bought all these things on sale. I'm kind of like a wait for some sort of a sale to go on. Because if they're going to go on sale, just be patient. Buy it when it's on sale. Save up. That's what I did. Because I was like, I need to save up for like these things. And this was on my list. Also by 8Dio, a harp. 8Dio does like, sometimes they do these crazy flash sales. So I grabbed that one off flash sale. And then I really, for the strings you're hearing, I really like Session Strings Pro, the first one. I've not tried out the second one, but the demos weren't anything that I was like, oh, I need this now. I really honestly like this. It's one of my go-to libraries for specific sounds. I think they really nailed what they were trying to go for because they went for like sort of a pop sound. So that's why I really like their staccatos. They just did a stupendous job. And then the drums are battery, if you're curious about the drums. But anyways, that's pretty much the sus chord. So you play 1. That easy. Now go and make something epic. And if you make something epic using this, post it in the comments. Let me know, do you work out? If so, what's your routine? Subscribe and have a blessed day.